Hi everybody, it's Robbie from Southern California, and today we're going to talk about starting seeds, and I think it's the best way, the most phenomenal way you're going to be able to start your seeds and not hurt your seedlings. I mean, how many times have you planted something in a container and it gets this big, and now this, how am I going to get this giant beautiful tomato out? Well, the way we're going to have to do it is, it's like a 2 cup, which is fine. There's the roots. In food containers, I got to turn it upside down. I've got to shake it. I got to pull it. I got to loosen it or cut my container. Otherwise, I could damage so many of the roots or break the plant in the middle of doing it. Now, you know, I do like the 2 cup and I do use it. Here is one. Same issue. If this lettuce gets really big and I want to plant it out in the garden or in a big container, I will have to cut this cup or flip it upside down and take the chance that I don't break my plant. Well, I came up with a better way a while ago, and you've probably seen some of the videos on how I do it. How I do it is 1 container like this, and I'll show you multiple ways of doing it. Now this, you say, wait a minute, there's 2 cups there. There's 1 cup. You don't need this. This is just a little added help is what it is. This is your helper. Now, when I do it in this way, I do not add holes to my containers. This is up to you if you want to add holes. I don't need to add any holes. I've got them all behind me. I've got this one. I've got peppers growing in a tin can. I've got even lettuce growing in a tuna can. Let's see what else. I've got all things everywhere growing. Oh, I don't know if anything's growing in here yet. I planted this, let's see, 4 days ago, and this is zucchini. And I'll show you in a second on this how to do it. But I'm going to do a lot of drop-ins. You can see all different methods I use. Now, the zucchini has only been in here for 4 days, and I'm not sure if it's growing. But you know what? I can check it. You can check it when you do it this way. Let me explain first what this is, and then I'll show you what we're going to look at, all this. This is Tulle. Now, I get this on eBay. You can get it anywhere you want. You can go to any fabric store, and it's about $2 a yard, sometimes $3. But on eBay, where I found this years ago, and they've kept the price down on the turquoise, for under $10 for 40 yards. That's not 40 feet, 40 yards. If I didn't come up with this in my garden 10 plus years ago, whenever I started using it, I'm telling you, I wouldn't have a garden today. I wouldn't have all the plants I've got today, because anytime I use this, my plants are protected. And I'm going to have to say that has been the best price. I was buying ones from somebody else, and then this company was cheaper. I tried them and they're fantastic. They do have other colors and they want more money for the other colors, but like $2 extra for 40 yards. So that's up to you, because they come in green and black and red and purple and all different colors. But for what I'm using, this is fine. Certain times I want black in the garden, certain times I want green. So I will go ahead and have a link in my description. So you have to go into the description. Then sometimes you see more. If you don't see it, hit the more button, and then you'll see some links that I put in there. You can look at it, and I'm telling you, for under $10, free shipping, you can't beat it. Now let's get back to this. Now, why do I think, let me get this out of the way in case it's in the way, this method is better than this? First of all, with Tulle, you can grow in almost anything you want. I grow in coffee cups because you don't need to make a hole. You don't want to take a beautiful coffee cup somebody got for you and make holes in it. And plus, what if you're trying to drill it and it breaks? But with this, you don't need to have any holes. Now, why? Because let's say you planted it in Tulle. I'll show you how to do it. And then you lift it. If there's too much water in there, you can just pour it out. Hold it, hold it. Oh my goodness, there's roots under here. Well, that means the plant has started. Let's not mess around too much with it. Cool. So my zucchini has started to grow. It's got roots on the bottom. So what I was saying is, you're going to lift it out. That's why it's so easy to do. And you can lift it out and check if there's too much water. You can pour it off and then sit it back. Here's a lettuce. Now let's say this was a tomato, a pepper, an eggplant, a cucumber, anything you want. Now I want to plant it in my garden. Cut yourself enough Tulle, because sometimes I cut it too short for that price. what you're going to do is you're going to lift the tool. Let's see, I haven't lifted it. Oh, look at all the roots. Everything there. You're going to, I'm going to make a mess here, but I want you to see this. You lift it out. The plant is perfect. You take the tool off because you're going to wash it and reuse it. And now you plant that wherever you want. You can't beat it. There's no upside down. There's no trying to knock your plant out of it. And here's another thing I'll show you. You know what? I'll plant something for you so you can see what I'm going to do with this. It's a little early, but let's see what I've got here. All right. So I've got some peppers in a cup. And I tied this, you know, with yarn just so I can keep track of the tool. You know, so it doesn't drift all over and I don't accidentally pick something up. All right, so now I've got this. Let's move this over. Now I'll show you why I did this ring. You don't have to do it, but I do it on all kinds of food containers. You only need one ring. I do cut myself short on tulle, and there's no reason for it. It's not money, it's just I cut it wrong. So if you go like this and you put your ring on here, you're now holding the tool in place. And push your hand in there. Make sure you got enough tulle. See, there's not enough there. So move it a little bit over. Make sure you're in the middle and kind of push it down. Now I know I've got plenty of tulle to lift it, and I can cut off the excess. And you can do it, you know, as much or as little. If you're careful, you can save on tulle. And now, let's just stick that there. So I've got my tulle in here, and I've got enough so I can lift it. I've got my ring in here, and I'm going to fill it with soil. You probably can't see it. Let me move the soil here. This is like the best way ever. I can't think of any way to improve this. Like I said, you can grow in a coffee cup. You can grow in anything you've got. Doesn't have to have holes, because if you overwater it, you just lift it and pour it off. Okay, so now we've got, I think we got enough soil in there. Now this is red peppers, and we're going to get into this. This is a whole different video because this is fascinating. Now, how would you get all those out? Look at that. I've got like 10, 15 peppers in there. I'm not even sure how many. You lift your peppers or whatever you're planting out. This is why I love this. Watch me make a big mess out of this because I'm doing this just off the cuff. Now you make sure you get your tool down and you start to separate. Just separate, and it falls away, which is fine. You're going, wait a minute, you got all that in there. I see one on this. Look at this. Look at this. Now I got a pepper plant. So I take this. I make my hole. I'm very careful with the plant. You know, they're not as delicate as people say. I do this all the time with all my plants. Why? Because I can grow all these different plants behind me in one container. So I got red peppers, I've got yellow peppers, I've got cauliflower, I've got zucchini, I've got all kinds of stuff going now. I've got curly lettuce that I will not let go to seed because I love my romaine that goes to seed here, but I can still grow it in a covered top, so nothing will happen to it. Now I've planted that, and I can take this off, and I can use this the next time I plant it in a red cup. I don't need it anymore. Now with this, you're going, oh no, what are you going to do? You didn't plant all the other ones. I'm not ready to plant the other ones. I usually wait till they're bigger. But now I'm just going to lift it up, drop it back, put it back in, push it in. We're done. It's over. And all I have to do is give it a little water. Anytime you disrupt your plants, water it, because you might have, you know, like displaced some of the soil, and the soil has to be around the roots. So if there's too much air pockets there, you could end up losing your plant. Now I can sit this back on the windowsill or wherever I want to sit it and get to that later. In the meantime, I've got this. And it doesn't matter how much you water it. I don't have holes in this. Nope. I wanted to make sure that I didn't grab the wrong cup. And now you just water it. Now, of course, it's good to leave a little bit of water on the bottom. But this is all you have to do. Now, if I felt like, oops, I watered it too much, you're just going to lift it up. Woo! And you're going to pour the water off somewhere else, see? And leave it alone. You're not going to use 2 cups. You're going to use 1 cup. And you're not going to displace your plants by turning it upside down and shaking the dickens out of it and banging the pot down. And then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I broke the crown of the plant off. And I do this. Let me see what else I've got going. I do this with everything. So I've got yellow peppers in here. Let's see. I just planted. This is my onion chives. And what's in here? This one, dill. Just planted that. I doubt they'll be growing yet. But now we know the zucchini is growing. Look at my cauliflower. Look at this. Same thing. I'm not ready to plant them. I like to get a little size to them. It doesn't matter if they get too big because you can gently take it apart. And even if you tear a little bit of the roots, it won't hurt. Believe you me. The plants, when they're young, are eager to grow. That is their whole goal in life, is to grow. But now I can lift it out, take the ones out that I want. If you end up taking too much soil out, just add a little soil to it. And when you're done, drop it back in. This isn't going to cost you anything. This is a food container. I buy mushrooms at the stores sometimes. The containers are beautiful. Use that. A tuna can. It's going to be the same thing. I could have used a little more Tulle on this. I didn't have a guide and I just shoved it in there. But look at this. You're going to lift it out. I'm going to go through, take the lettuce out that I want. No holes in the tuna can. And then once I'm done with that, put it back. They're a little young. I like waiting till the lettuce are about that tall. And then I'm going to get the lettuce in individual cups. But the point is, you don't need 2 cups. You only need 1. There's no advantage in any way of using a 2-cup system. Now, there is some places I might use it just because I used to, but I may want to grow my lettuce permanently in here. Now, growing lettuce, oh, you know what? I got a separate video on lettuce. I digress. But if I was going to grow, I'll get into that. If I was going to grow lettuce in here and I wanted to keep it in here, then you could use a 2-cup system because lettuce needs water, fluffy soil, and water, and a few other things that we'll get into. But I'm going to just say this has been great. Now, this pepper I just planted with you guys is not going to stay in here. And when I'm ready, when the weather is nice and stays nice, and we're in the middle of spring, I can now just lift this out and plant it out in the garden. I can make a hole where my cup will drop in, or, it can be in a container. I see that fits perfect. Take the container out of the soil, lift this out, take the tool off, and drop your plant in there. You can't get easier than that. And I make rings for all different plants, like I did one here. And I'll show you the video on that. What I did was I took a sour cream container, I cut the lid, and then when I cut up the lid, I have plant tags. And then what I do is I put the lid on after I put the tool on. Then I fill it. And once it's filled, I can take this off. I don't need to leave the top on anymore because it's a guide so my tool won't slip in, because you can use any size container you want. And you don't want to use a big container. It's too heavy to pull up, but small containers. But this is basically your guide, the same way that the cup was, just to kind of hold the tool in place as you load in your soil. So you tell me if you've been using this, because I showed you this a few years ago, and so many of you have been asking me about different ways of planting seed. I think this is the best way. Your plant's going to have a little bit of reservoir of water on the bottom, hopefully, if you forget to water it, because you can't let seedlings dry out. And this has been the easiest way to do it. The most efficient way for me, because I can grow tons of one plant in one little container and then separate them. I don't have to go planting seeds out and then waiting and waiting. Is it going to grow? And then when should I transplant it? I'm going to let them grow in whatever container I want to use. Once they get to a size that I want, probably, I could do it now on the cauliflower, but I might wait another week or so and then individually plant them. I might put them straight into the garden. The point is, I can't find anything easier. Can you? I'm going to read your comments. Make your comments down below. I love reading comments. I may not get to all of them, but sometimes you find me answering them months later. But if it's important, I have been trying to get to them to help you out and answer questions, at least my opinion. So this has been my favorite way to grow. And like I said, now I've got to struggle if I want to keep this tomato that came up on my windowsill. And hopefully I won't break too much of it. And I've got basil growing in here as well. If this would have been in Tulle, if I would have thought about it when I planted it, it was kind of not thought about. I would have lifted it out, separated the tomato plant's roots from the basil and planted everything separate. But now I'll just have to deal with it. Well, that's life. Keep life simple. Let's do it simple so we will garden forever. Share this video because I know a lot of people will appreciate this. If you don't have tulle and you might have some other fabric around, you might find something cheap, but I'm telling you, tulle is the easiest thing. And you could go to a store and pick up a yard or two if you want to do it that way. Whatever you want to do. So with that, have a wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. I think it's cool that you can peek and see that there's roots before you got a plant on top. Great. I'm finally going to have zucchini growing in the yard again. Real zucchini. I'm so happy. Look at that. See, the roots grow before the top plant. Cool. And don't forget, one more thing. Label your plants. I use a little bit of painter's tape with a Sharpie, and on here I put the date, what I planted, and sometimes I write down how many seeds I put in there too. Hope I gave you some tips. Bye-bye, everybody. What a beautiful day.